Hey, a listener. Want to help us out? Leave a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or hit that like button on YouTube. Only takes a second on your end and really helps us out on ours. Otherwise, enjoy the show. You're listening to Cinematic Doctrine. Hey, if you just press play, there is, unfortunately, no Patreon chat for this discussion. We are moving into holiday. I work retail, so things are just getting a little crazy. But it's okay, because there's still going to be exclusive stuff from this episode in the Patreon chat, because I post the uncut version on Patreon pretty much immediately after recording, at least within 24 hours. Supporting on Patreon still gets you a lot of cool stuff. Plus, like I said, the uncut versions usually go up very quickly. Now, the turnover for this episode, we're recording on the 21st, and it goes up on, the 24th in, 6 days from now. But that's sometimes the episodes will be up weeks in advance, sometimes even months in advance. So it's still worth it. $3 a month. Go to patreon.com/cinematic doctrine, and that $3 a month gets you all the digital perks. There's other benefits to supporting on Patreon, so check it out. You'll hear about those as we're chatting. We're going to be talking about Now You See Me from 2013. The third movie is actually coming out in theaters probably this weekend or very soon. And the second movie only came out a couple years after the original release, but it's been 10 years, and now there's finally a third film. Patreon supporters actually submitted and then voted on this movie to be discussed for this episode. At the end of every month, we talk about a Patreon selected movie. This is one of those, so that's pretty cool. Thank you for submitting, and thank you for voting. I am joined by Shirl. What's up, Shirl?
Not much other than life being absolutely crazy. It's not like I'm in any bad place or anything like that. It's just been busy. So, and then the holidays, and then the next holidays, and then it's 2026. So it's a lot.
Yeah, 2025 already almost over. It's kind of nuts.
It's unbelievable. So much has happened in just this year. I don't even have words to properly put in context how I think about 2025.
Yeah, so Now You See Me, we're going to be doing a movie discussion on this episode, on this movie. Movie discussions are pretty simple. We do 2 non-spoiler specific questions. So we'll talk about general feelings and vibes. What did it draw out in us? And then we'll announce when we transition into spoiler specific stuff. That stuff is going to be 2 more questions that are more pertain to maybe recurrent themes. And of course, we talk about the ending. To set things up before we get into what do we think, Now You See Me, Louis Leterrier is the director. You might recognize him as the most recently, I think, Fast X is what he did, part 1, as well as part 2. We've talked about him before on the podcast years ago when we talked about The Incredible Hulk. Yep, the MCU one. So we have a pretty star-studded cast. I mean, Jesse Eisenberg, Mark Ruffalo, Woody Harrelson, Ayla Fisher, Dave Franco, Melanie Laurent, Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine. Common has a very small part in it, but is still in it. So it's just kind of a gnarly cast. The premise is 4 magicians all receive these cards. They're all different types of magicians. One's an escape artist, a magician. Another does sleight of hand tricks and steals money. Another does I don't know what you call it, influencing. Not the modern term for the internet, but just they can
hypnotism, mentalism,
hypnotism,
something like that. Yeah.
And then a card trick guy. And all 4 of these guys receive a tarot card, and the tarot card has a date and a time and a location. So they all they're all separate from one another, but they all arrive at this place. And when they break in, because that was part of the test, they find coordinates, data, a plan, all this stuff. Then we skip forward a year. And during a show at Las Vegas, they say, hey, we're going to steal from a bank using magic. So they do. And the thing is, the bank does actually get stolen from. And so now there are different parties that are wondering, how did this happen? You have Mark Ruffalo, who plays an FBI agent who is working with Interpol to investigate how did they steal from a bank in Paris, which is very far away from Las Vegas. If you didn't know, listener, they're not in the same continent.
Not the same Eiffel Tower. There's an Eiffel Tower in Las Vegas. It's not that one.
Yeah, one of 3. Then you have also Morgan Freeman's character, who is a skeptic. And his thing is that he used to do magic, but now what he does is it's actually more profitable for him to make videos and blogs about, like, basically proving how the magic trick was done.
Debunking them in a way, yeah.
So you basically have these three factions. You have the magicians, who call themselves the Four Horsemen, who do these bank robberies and are going to do more. Then you have Mark Ruffalo, who's the police, the law, trying to figure out how to, try these people. And then you have the skeptic, who is sort of following along, seems to know more about than the FBI, but does it all kind of under the ground. We'll get into more specifics later, because I think it's fair to say there's like stuff to talk about like later. But talking without spoilers, just how we felt. Cheryl, what did you think of Now You See Me 2013?
My hot take after watching this, I would watch the Netflix live action Death Note again and enjoy it before ever watching this movie ever again. Or its sequels. Because I don't know how it got sequels. Because this was the most boring, pointless, nonsense movie I have ever seen. It was a waste. I am coming hot out of the gate. That was a waste of an hour and 55 minutes, in my personal opinion. And I'm so disappointed because I wanted to see this movie. I was excited to see it. I was very interested. 7 minutes in, and I'm like, I am out of breath and bored. I didn't even second screen. I got my junk journal out and started cutting up magazines and half watching it and then having lunch.
Listener, if you did not listen to our episode on the 2017 Western Netflix Death Note adaptation, then you don't quite know how serious what Shirleon said.
This is a big deal.
She hates that movie.
Go back and listen to that one.
She really does not like it. She hates it in every way.
Awful.
So the fact that she's saying she'd rather watch that than this ever again is kind of crazy. Second thing, you said, how did this ever get a sequel? Well, it was a $75 million budget, and it made 5 to 6 times the amount back. It made like $340 million.
I need to know why. I have thoughts. Who went to go? Okay. Excuse me.
$351 million.
I have plenty. There are plenty of movies that are like so bad that they're good, and I'm not even talking like cult classics like The Room. Like that's in a whole separate category. At least with the Netflix Death Note, I could follow along on the story. Even if I didn't know Death Note exists, like the anime, I could follow along the story. There was something to it. There was a plot. It was told to me. This movie, I could not repeat the plot to you. I could not repeat characterizations of people to you. The relationships they all had with each other. Like, there are so many things about this movie that just doesn't make sense. And like, I'm all for magicians being thieves. I think that can be really cool. It's a very simple premise. It just did not work.
I mean, it is messy. As for me, like, what did I think? Like, I'll start with sort of a response to some of the things you said, and then I'll go into what I wrote. Like, you can kind of see the interesting pieces here, right? Like, it's a 3-piece cop drama with a flair of magic. And, magic is cool. Like, I just want to make that clear. Magic tricks are cool. But I don't think this movie is cool. I think actually, like, what's frustrating is magic itself is a really neat kind of thing. But it's almost as though the aesthetic of the film doesn't believe that's true and wants to make everything cool to make up for the fact that, like, it perceives magic as uncool. And so you just have, like, really smug, irritating characters that all seem so
the
cool.
Jesse character?
Oh, yeah.
I want to
insufferable.
He's I like the others way more, but Woody
Harrelson was insufferable, in my opinion. And then Ela Fisher and Dave Franco didn't have a lot to do, but
I would take the other 3 over the Jesse guy.
But I think it doesn't quite trust that people think magic is cool, so it has to try to make it cooler, zhuzh it up. Then it has this like cop drama plot and the mystery of, okay, but who is bankrolling these 4 horsemen? Who is the one that sent out the cards? Who is the one that invited them into this house and essentially gave them this plan? Because the 4 horsemen keep saying they're actually following a plan. They're not just stealing from people, but they're following a plan that was set in motion a year prior. That cop drama doesn't really make a lot of sense, and by the ending, it definitely doesn't make sense. And then you have the Morgan Freeman character, the skeptic, who kind of just comes in as an exposition dump, and rather than there being this cop drama where the characters investigate clues and try to figure out what did and didn't happen, you just have like 20 minutes of whatever magic show they're doing at the time, then 20 minutes of Morgan Freeman just coming in and actually just explaining what they did. So there's really no mystery for you to explore. And then like Mark Ruffalo just kind of farting around and like wasting time. So in terms of like what happened here, like I do think there's pieces here, and very clearly making so much money. There's a lot of people who liked the movie at the time, but I remember when this came out, and it was like
I did too.
Articles all the time that would just say like, "Now you see me, critical flop, but audience success." Like a lot of people liking it, but most stepping away, kind of like that was bad.
Hear me out. They were hypnotized by all the flashing lights and all the colors in the movie to make you think that it was cool.
So, I mean, that didn't go actually like over my head. I did kind of think that like, because the movie is trying to be like, I mean, the tagline, right? The closer you look, the less you'll see. And so it's trying to almost like preemptively criticize anyone who criticizes the movie,
which is
as
really
if to be like, you're looking
annoying.
Too close, man. You just need to soak it in. But it's like, this isn't a vibes movie. It's not art house. Like, I'm not watching David Lynch or Tarkovsky here. I'm watching Louis Lederer. Like, this is not that category of film. But as for me, I just thought the movie was just like bad. Like I think it's just very key jangly. Like the cinematography is just constantly spinning cameras that are just desperate to make you think the film has substance and wonder.
Gosh, yeah. It was so fast. Did you feel out of breath while you were watching this movie?
No, but it does have that quality of like Bohemian Rhapsody, where the editing and the camera work are so messy that like it's kind of exhausting to watch.
Yeah.
Like it is kind of a tiresome film, to the point that like I actually like, I didn't go into watching the film tired, but I was falling asleep. Like I'm no joke, guys. Like I was dozing. I wasn't fading out to the point that I had to rewind, which I would if I had to. But we were at the point where like one of my eyes were kind of closed and the other one was like doing all the work, because it was a little more comfortable than having both of my eyes open. Because it just really felt like, it just felt exhausting to watch because of this editing stuff. There's also constant CGI for the magic stuff, which to me really disappointed me. Not really, but it was a disappointment, because something cool about film is you can capture through the power of light through a lens burned into film, which I know this was probably shot on digital, but is you can capture moments in real life. That's why going back and watching stuff from the 20s where there's stunts are awesome, because it's like, this is crazy stuff that happened over 100 years ago, and it's like really cool to watch. It's part of what makes practical effects so enjoyable, is the suspension of disbelief to see neat things. And like, you go to magic shows to watch that. You go to a show to watch a professional who's good at distraction and subject matter, like playing with that. And so like Penn and Teller stuff. So like, there is just like something missing in the film by having CGI like almost the whole film for the magic tricks, to the point that obviously there's tricks that happen that are just like, this is ridiculous. Like the bubbles, come on, that was like, you're kidding. So I found that frustrating, because it would have been at least neat to watch like actual magic tricks taking place.
Yeah.
Then there's just like, we mentioned it briefly, but the characters kind of suck. Like I found either characters uninteresting, like Alma, who is the Melanie. Melanie Laurent. Alma's character is pretty boring, as well as Mark Ruffalo. I thought Dylan Rhodes was kind of a boring character. And then the magicians, two of them are basically non-existent, and two of them are just annoying. So I just found that tough. I feel like, at least for me, smug, I don't know if I've ever really liked smug characters, but smug characters kind of bum me out, because it's pining to an audience member who like wants to insert themselves into the smug character, to be smart, to be clever. I just don't enjoy that. I never enjoyed Rick and Morty. I know Rick and Morty has fallen off after so many years. But like when it came out the first season, I just thought it was smug and annoying. So
Yeah.
I'm not about it. And yeah, this Eisenberg's character is so smug. It's just insufferable.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say about smug characters. I definitely feel kind of the same way, but I don't mind when they're handled in a way that they get their comeuppance at the end. Like they think they're so brilliant that they're so smart, but then they miss something and end up genuinely being wrong, and they either admit to it or like there's a consequence to their smugness. That's when I don't mind, because you need to have that balance.
You may not know this, but the easiest way you can show your support for Cinematic Doctrine is to rate and review the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen. So press pause and share your thoughts. We'd love to hear what you have to say. And then press play again so you can hear the rest of the show. What did the movie evoke in you?
So, other than absolute boredom and frustration, which is actually like the most annoying combination if you really think about it, kind of talking about the magic tricks that like that's kind of what I was hoping to see more of. Like you're saying, the way that like even just filming something with practical effects, you can trick people into thinking that this magic trick is actually happening, like Penn and Teller, and then all the other great stage Houdini. What is it? Pepper's ghost is the mirror trick to make it look like there's a ghost. If you're familiar with the Haunted Mansion ride in Disney, they use it in the dining room with the dancing ghosts kind of all around to make it kind of look like there's a holographic image. All of that is really cool and really clever. We don't see any of that clever trickery in this movie that makes magic interesting, which makes stage magic interesting. And that's such a bummer, because like when we get to the first magic show that the Four Horsemen do together, at least that we see at this point, they are very famous, which at that point, like the characters are all separate the first 7 minutes of the movie. 14 minutes into the movie, they finally meet each other, and then we get a 1 year later. So we don't even get to see a relationship develop between these
I thought
four
that was
characters.
strange too, yeah.
And that's really irritating, because like you're saying, if these are supposed to be four very important people, like, I know nothing about them. I see one trick by each person that gives me a little bit of their personalities, but I don't get to see them bouncing off of each other. Like, that's weird. How is it they even became successful enough to put on a stage show in Las Vegas and then become so famous that they're, like, selling out theaters? And then the magic tricks that they do, you don't even get to see any of them. They jump from one person's act to another person's act, and then they go back to the other person's act, and then they go to a new act, and then, like, you're seeing four different magic tricks at the same time, but not in completion.
So opening scenes set up kind of the vibe and the atmosphere and the purpose of the rest of the film. So it is telling that the beginning of the film could have been cut from the film, where like you have this opening where these characters don't know each other, but then they meet up in the apartment and then they do know each other.
Vague notion, yeah.
Now, in the original theatrical cut, this may be the case, because I searched for the theatrical cut, which is like 10, 15 minutes shorter.
Okay.
I could only find the extended cut, which is an hour and 55 minutes. It was like the theatrical cut was gone. So even some of my criticisms are like, maybe that original cut fixed up the pacing and editing, but I don't know. And yeah, that beginning stuff kind of has no purpose. Like they could have started with showing up at the apartment saying we have these cards, whatever. Like I literally thought that when watching the movie, like, oh, why didn't they just start the movie here and save me like 10 minutes? But yeah, it's strange. For me, what it evoked, which is a little weird. I have more thoughts on the movie proper, but this is a bit different. One of the big through lines of the film that's trying to build up the magicians as heroes or good people is that they are stealing money and then giving it to the poor. They're doing some Robin Hood stuff. The first heist they steal money from a French bank. They do this, they steal that, and then when all the money is falling from the ceiling, everyone turns into like... it's just like embarrassing. You're basically watching people reach into the sky for money. It just looks terrible. And that gave me the ick, because I'm not watching the movie without seclusion. Like I am understanding that this is a film made through the Hollywood system and through the world of excess and extravagance that is Hollywood. Now I understand there are very, very, very poor locations in that era, in that West Coast area. But the people making this movie are still very rich. So I just hate the depiction of like people who are middle class or working poor, just sort of like, I don't know, frothing at the mouth for dollar bills. And then the second magic trick that they do is similar, where they are funneling money out of someone's bank account, in particular, a rich person's bank account, and it's being then sent to people in the audience who previously described themselves as essentially working poor class. They go from like, oh, they had only $500 in their bank account to $70,500. It just seems strange to me, because if I saw that I had that money, like, yeah, I'd be elated for like a minute, but I'd also be like really sus about it. It'd be really strange, because we don't live in a society that gives success to those who are rich. We live in a society where the rich are protected by the law, and the poor are under the jurisdiction of the law. Anyone who's rich, seemingly, as we've witnessed year after year, can just break the law and take advantage of it. But if you're poor, you are SOL. And so I just don't see that, like, after this event where these magicians steal money at a show, the first one being on with Morgan Freeman's character, like, filming and stuff. Like, I don't see how any of these people keep the money. And then it again depicts these people as just like ravenous people who are just desperate for money. I hate that. So you had a thought. Go ahead.
I do. I have a few. I initially thought too, like when we first see that scene with the Parisian money being dropped on all these people, it's stolen money and then given away. Does that make the whole crowd complicit with having stolen money? Like, isn't this a problem?
Yeah.
And then it ends up being like you're talking about, like the people who have very little in their bank account when they go to the show in New Orleans, which they then reference. These people were ravaged by Katrina without actually saying the words, but like that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, they're talking
and now
about
all
Katrina.
These people are poor. Here's all this money, and we'll get into a little bit more of the backstory there in just a minute. But like, when did these characters become Robin Hood? When was that switch? Because at the beginning of the movie, two of the characters were pickpocketing and then swindling people out of money. They didn't care about other people. And then the Eisman character just wanted to get in some girl's pants. And then I don't know about the piranha chick, the redhead girl. I know none of these people's names.
It's fine. They barely say their names.
When did they become caring about the little man and wanting to steal from the rich and give to the poor? Because none of that actually happens. They never actually talk about that.
I have an answer for you. I have an answer for you.
Go for it.
So the movie talks about, not only do they have their secret benefactor who is supporting them, not just the one that they quote in the beginning of the film during the first magic trick, but also that the person who gave them those tarot cards to go to that room to then do this whole years-long plan to steal money.
Yeah.
They talk about, there's talk about something called the Eye, and the Eye is this very, very old magicians like group that are basically the progenitors of like old legitimate magic, not just like trickery, but like actual magic.
Oh, yeah. I vaguely remember this scene.
And then it said something about like, to those who were in the Eye, didn't just preserve magic and protect it, but they also used it to sometimes steal from the rich and give to the poor. Particularly the one guy I think they talk about. There's crazy names in this movie. I just can't remember them. But all that to say is, like, part of the mystery that's being unfolded by Mark Ruffalo is that detail. And then it makes sense. Oh, okay. So they are doing some plan that causes them to steal money and give to the poor.
It should have opened with all of that. It should have opened with,
I mean, maybe,
the
I don't
Eye
know.
and the storyline of like this ancient Egyptian thing with the magic and the gate. Like, they should have opened with that and then had the characters actually care about that, because
Maybe,
like, again, shouldn't be surprising. None of these characters think of anybody but themselves, and that never changes, which should and does not connect to anything that we're told about what this I society is at all.
No, we're told about it.
We're told about it, but the characters, like, what they're trying to do, like, be initiated into this thing, like
the frustrating thing, I believe that you are channeling, Cheryl, is this movie is so bloated with stuff. There is so much stuff. And that isn't just in like plot details, but visuals and the camera flying around. You do not have time to focus on anything. And if you do, you will be injured because you're going to go, oh my gosh, my brain can't figure it out. Not because the movie's smart, but because the movie has no substance. There is nothing here. It is empty calories.
Not letting us think for ourselves as we watch a movie. Like, let us sit there and try to figure out the tricks. Let us see it and all that kind of stuff. Like,
no, you can't, because Morgan Freeman has to explain it.
There's only one time that I'm fine with his explanation, but I agree. Like, we don't need it. Just let us try to figure it out.
It's just exhausting. And yeah, so like I just... It's frustrating to watch a film that is trying to, I think, titillate the audience into thinking they're smart, but is like crossing its fingers behind its back because it just outright thinks you are a moron. And I think that audiences deserve better, especially if you are a person who is spending money for a product. Like, you deserve that product to treat you with respect. And I just found that this was a movie created through a like industry and a system that like decided to take pot shots against the audience. And I understand that there's plenty of movies I like that Hollywood has made. So I'm not just like, anti-Hollywood or something.
Right.
But I am anti this. And I think it's frustrating to think that for such a low cost and for the content therein, it then is such a financial success. Like, that to me kind of just means like they were right. Like, they were right about you. Like, and so I don't, that to me, like, the whole people reaching for money and celebrating money and all that stuff was, I think, the initial crack that kind of told me like this movie's pretty cynical about people who are less fortunate. And then all of what we've discussed and the whole of the film to me is the rest of what's wrong, where I just think it's mistreating its audience. I think listener, you deserve better from the media that you
100%.
engage. You can engage cynical media, you can engage stuff that's maybe clever, and you can even be challenged. But I don't think this movie's challenging you. I think this movie is like, I think it exists to spite you. And so that to me is very, very frustrating. Enjoying this episode? Grab that share link and tell your friends. Word of mouth is the most effective way for a podcast to reach new listeners, so don't be shy. Share the episode wherever you can. Let's get into spoilers, because there's also just like a big thing we can't get into without talking about that, which I think further curses this film. So
I'm so annoyed.
It's pretty consistently something that a lot of people, when they finish the film, step away going, that's absurd. So yeah, if you've seen the movie or you don't care, stick around. We have some interesting stuff. So our first spoiler question is recurring motifs and prominent significant moments and or characters. Yeah, I know, right? What do you got? Tell me.
I got nothing. I couldn't tell you who's a prominent character. All I kept thinking was, I've seen that guy in Batman. They're in Marvel. I've seen this guy before. Like, it just... So my husband barely watched any of it, and he made the comment that like the script writing makes it feel like they're not even taking this seriously, and it wasn't even supposed to be like a real movie. Like, it was a joke movie, essentially. Like, I can't even think what's a prominent scene. This stood out to me as just being stupid. So one of the tricks is that they're trying to steal some bank vault again. Lot of money, obviously.
Yeah, the opening.
And yes, the money's going to be thrown from the sky or whatever. No, this is the second time they do that.
The third one.
The third one, whatever number it is that they're stealing money, and they're doing it in New York. It's like their final trick or whatever. And the FBI catch up with the truck that is taking the safe to wherever they go, and they're like, "Oh no, okay, no." They open the truck and they see the safe. Doesn't look tampered with. They just see it. They're like, "Okay, cool." They don't know that we know that it's here and that it's on the way. Let's just get in and like go to the destination. My very first thought is, don't you want to open it up and just like make sure stuff is in there? that's smart, right? Like, that would be your first inclination, right? Oh, we found the safe. Let's make sure everything is in there. No. They get all the way to the destination and then realize, cool, now we're here. Let's open it up. And then balloon animals come floating out. I'm like, you could have figured this out hours ago and then figured out what was going on at the venue where they were going to steal all this money. Like, and then they act all surprised, like, oh my gosh, what just happened? Like, you could have figured this out when it barely left the building the safe lived in.
So in addition to this, there's also the fact that we learn how they stole this safe is they did a mirror trick where they put a mirror down in the box to make it look, they do the whole bunny rabbit mirror thing.
Yeah.
Where earlier in the film, you see the way they can make it look like the bunny rabbit vanish is you have a mirror that's in front of it, which reflects the sides, which have a particular shape, which makes the box look empty. So they do this, but in like a vault, which has a smaller vault inside of it, or like a cage. I don't know. It's just like an environment.
Dumb.
And they place this mirror down, but like we see the four horsemen's reflection is in the mirror when they put it down in the same position with which Mark Ruffalo and the police arrive. So their reflection ought to have been in there because we had already seen the reflection.
Oh yeah, I didn't even consider
because
that.
that's how mirrors work. And so it's again, like everything moves so quickly and so fast.
Yeah.
Whoever is producing the film is like one line of Coke and then says, make it faster. And like, it's just like, because they're like, well, we already sold the ticket.
He's talking about Coca-Cola, guys, like bottles of Coca-Cola, a line.
We already sold the ticket. So it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
We just need to make it so when they leave, they think it was good and they'll see it again or get other people to see it. So for me, a pretty consistent through line in the film is there are these moments where Mark Ruffalo and Melanie and Laurent have these kind of heart-to-hearts, but they're not really heart-to-hearts. They're feigning heart-to-hearts. I have thoughts on that later, but they're basically this through line of like, do you believe in magic or do you believe in something you can't see? And so it's like it's feigning intrigue and magic and mysticism. There's like this spiritual angle to it, belief in what is unseen, like magic or love. And like, I don't mind that sort of stuff in a film, but I don't like it in this movie because of how I think it's treating its audience. I think it's verbiage. I think it's proposing it in a very shallow manner. It's vapid. There's just nothing here. Everything in the film, everything seems like magic when you don't understand it. Literally anything can seem like mysticism if you are not literate or knowledgeable in a subject matter. That is not a criticism on someone's intelligence. It is just when you don't understand something and you see it, it's crazy. I mean, that is card tricks and magic stuff. It blows your mind. You're like, wow, that was impressive. So what's frustrating here is the kind of like the camera spinning around, the music swelling, the editing, the reactions of characters with their mouths open, eyes wide. Like it's trying to push this idea of awe and mysticism and power and like something really to be like shook by in a way that's moving. But it's all just like really bad. There isn't real magic. It's just CGI, so I know what it is. I know how it works. It's a computer digital program. And its treatment of its audience is bad. And I know I'm sounding kind of far-fetched or hypercritical, especially since the movie's balancing the skepticism against like belief and stuff. But because like the whole film as a project is so juvenile, I just felt like this through line was just like really empty. It's bad. Like it's fake deep. It's so fake deep. It's the kind of movie I imagine plays between Kevin Smith films at a pothead's like house.
Yeah, probably.
Because it's like, hey man, you ever see this one? And like you put it on and it becomes their favorite movie because it means so much to them. And like,
right.
But it doesn't, it means nothing. Now you see me. I don't. I'm sorry. I just don't.
Yeah, I don't get it. So like this whole idea of like this society of like the eye is the idea that there is actually real magic out there.
I believe so.
I believe, yeah. And I feel like that's what they were trying to go for, but they didn't convince me. And that honestly, like, that should have been their starting line. Okay, well, they could have been like, okay, there's a bunch of magicians. They're petty thieves. But then overarching, there's this magical society, the Eye for actual magic. These thieves don't realize they actually have magic. They're actually able to do these things, but they're not that great. They need to be brought into the group so that they can learn and all that kind of stuff, which is when this mysterious guy comes in to bring them all together to kind of reveal the fact that they have these magical powers that they've been just kind of being like, oh, I just know how to do stage magic. That's interesting. This whole movie would have been very interesting if this main thing was all about like this magical society, the Eye, and like maybe magic is real, but like none of that's there. Like it didn't work. It doesn't make sense. Like, I don't think any of the magic was real.
Yeah.
I don't think this Eye actually exists. Like, what even is this? Like,
well, the Eye does exist. They at the end.
Well, that's the thing is right. It does, but like, why do I care that it exists?
Yes.
Why do I care about this? And that's the explanation where I don't mind that Morgan Freeman does at the end when he finally figures out who the mastermind is. Like, so I don't mind that. Like, because then he's kind of piecing it together and like we can kind of piece it together with him. But like, because he's already done that in the movie prior, it doesn't mean anything. So like, there's nothing in this movie I care about, which is unfortunate because I could have cared about something like actual real life magic being brought out and shown to these people at the end of the movie being like, oh, by the way, what you actually do is real magic. We're now here going to teach you, welcome to the society kind of thing. Like, could have been so interesting. But they were like, nope, let's go this other direction. And to be honest, I don't even know what direction that was.
Yeah, so with this particular question, the recurrent through line important character question, but I can't read it right now. Or is it the recurrent motifs, prominent significant moments in our characters section, just before we move on to the ending? There's a movie that kind of does this and does it, but it's not bloated. It's called Safety Not Guaranteed. It's from Colin Trevorrow, the man who can't make a good movie anymore. He made Safety Not Guaranteed. He made Jurassic World, which made $1 billion. And even that movie's not great, but it's neat. And then since then has gone on to bless us with The Book of Henry, one of the single worst movies ever made. If you haven't seen it, it is a hoot. It's very funny. Safety Not Guaranteed is a film based on an ad in a newspaper that said time traveler searching for partner to time travel again, basically. And then it's a drama about characters who, I think it's Mark Duplass, the guy from New Girl, who also is Spider-Man, and Aubrey Plaza, who are like doing this drama about like your past, your future, things like that. And it has a through line of like, yeah, but is Mark Duplass actually a time traveler or not? And so you have this like kind of drama / faith / belief / thing going on, but it's not bloated by then having a cop drama, by having a skeptic, because it, instead of making every, I think, like antithesis to whatever the point of Now You See Me is, like each one has a character that represent it. Safety Not Guaranteed just recognizes that humans are much more complicated and can have multiple things. And so there's characters who are skeptics, there's characters who believe, and there can be the same thing.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say that could have been easily, like, get rid of the Morgan Freeman character and make, like, the French girl a skeptic.
Yeah, she has nothing to do.
Like, maybe she ends up being like really knowledgeable on the Eye society.
So why not make her the skeptic?
But like make her a skeptic, but she knows a lot about the society because she's trying to prove to people like it doesn't exist or whatever. And then
Mark Ruffalo needs to kiss someone.
They don't even have good chemistry.
They had no chemistry. It was terrible.
No chemistry.
Mark Ruffalo is not good here. He's so boring. Not good. Let's get into the ending. So let me explain the ending real quick. So
yes, please.
Really, what's the reveal that we're still waiting for in the film? What are the four horsemen doing? Why are they stealing money, and how is it connected? And who is the person that made the plan that the four horsemen are watching? And there's an answer for these. It is Mark Ruffalo is the quote unquote mastermind of the whole thing. It turns out the character of Dylan Rhodes, who's Mark Ruffalo's character, is the son of a magician that has been mentioned throughout the film. There's a magician called Lionel Shrike. Man, these names are bad. There's a magician named Lionel Shrike who was like a really, really prominent figure. And he ended up dying because he tried to do a magic trick where he was in a metal casket that was submerged in the water. But he died because through complications, his casket he never came up. The casket was never found, and it was just gone. So Mark Ruffalo, Dylan Rhodes, is Lionel Shrike's son, and he set up the plan at the beginning of the film in that apartment that the Four Horsemen arrive at to steal from the bank that I think financed the manufacturing company that produced the casket, and then the casket had an error, and so the presumption is that the casket like broke or something. I'm not sure. I couldn't quite understand. Then he is having the Four Horsemen steal from an insurance broker, an insurance CEO, because something also related to his tragic backstory. And then he has the money that is stolen during the last magic trick put into Morgan Freeman's car, and Morgan Freeman's character is Thaddeus. And Thaddeus is the skeptic. And the reason that Mark Ruffalo has it out against the skeptic is because it was skepticism that pushed his dad to try more and more extreme magic tricks. And so it's all a revenge plot. It's all a revenge story.
Which, again, is very interesting. But like to one or the other.
There's too much going on in the movie because a heist story is interesting. Magic is kind of interesting. And the cop drama is like interesting, but it's a royal mess. And so then what you then realize is the character who was investigating the Four Horsemen the whole time, Dylan Rhodes, is actually the mastermind behind the Four Horsemen's entire plan. This, in theory, sounds like it would be a good twist. But it's a bit strange because we have watched Dylan the whole story, so there's certain things that are a little strange here. One, to me, is at the beginning of the film, Dylan is aggressively saying he does not want to be put on the case of investigating the Four Horsemen, even though his boss, Common, put him on it. Now, granted, he might be doing this because reverse psychology. Okay, sure, whatever. But wouldn't it be best? Wouldn't it be like, oh, that was perfect that you put me on this case that is investigating my own crime, because then he can steer it however he needs to.
Especially as like a supposed magician himself, like wouldn't he be able to like do a whole sleight of hand kind of freaky thing and just like never figure this out?
Yeah.
Like,
so that was strange. Second is there's a point when they're trying to catch the Four Horsemen and they fail. And then Dylan goes to drink. Now, he might actually just be going out to get a drink anyway. But Alma comes up and he seems disappointed that he didn't catch the Four Horsemen. And so it's fair to presume that he, in that moment, is actually disappointed. But that would be silly because the Four Horsemen were sent by him, and like he does not want them to fail at all because he's trying to get revenge on these people. Why would he want them to fail? Now, caveat, someone might say, well, he's also part of the secret society, the Eye, and so he's putting them through a test, and they're not just having to complete the objectives he's set for them, but he is also part of an antagonist force that is moving against them, and so as they succeed, they continue to prove their ability to get into the Eye. Now, I just don't know if that holds water because
not good enough water anyway.
It just doesn't make sense like for the plot, because we're not really told that like they have to go through a series of trials that he then is going against them for. But you know what? I could give concession to that as like someone's trying to write something clever here. But then you get to the relationship of the quote unquote relationship of Dylan Rhodes
situationship
and Alma, where they kiss out of nowhere, which is weird. And then at the end, Dylan is like, I was trying to get revenge, but I never thought I would meet you. And Alma's like, I could report you, and all of this would go together because Dylan, yaps and explains everything. It wasn't even pillow talk. Like he just shares it. Like
on a crowded public bridge in France where everyone else can hear him. He stole millions of pounds of dollars, and she's just like, it's okay. Let's go off and just get
Dog
married.
Is so thirsty. He's really trying. But it doesn't make much sense because as far as I'm concerned, Dylan was pretty rude and unkind to Alma like the whole film, and then was also drunkenly unkind to her. And so it just depicts Alma as like a really dumb woman. And so that's stupid.
It should have been her. The mastermind should have been her. She should not have been found out except by Morgan Freeman.
Well, she could have been the skeptic.
Should have gotten away from the cops. I feel like, I don't know. She also could have been the skeptic too. She could have been either
She needed
one.
to be more important than an Interpol agent, which does not exist. Like, there are no such things as Interpol agents. So, like, her character makes no sense being in the film.
Yeah.
It just doesn't, it's not really a good ending. And it doesn't look good either. Like, when we get the flashbacks to the beginning of the film where we see a hooded figure, it's just Mark Ruffalo in, like, the most non-branded hoodie in the world. It looks really bad, like really awkward,
creepy, real creepy. Like, he's being a creeper.
And then we get the confirmation that the eye exists, and they enter a magical carousel and vanish, and like that's it. Like it's very strange. But all in all, like I'll say this: there are plenty of movies that have bad endings, and there are plenty of movies that are dumb and don't make sense, and there's plenty of movies that are cheap and silly. And they can still be fun, like really fun and interesting. Yeah. But I think this film, in addition to all the contrivances that are had, I think it's also poorly made. And I think that is what kind of kills this movie. I think the fact that
really does.
The performances aren't good, the characters aren't good, in my opinion. These are all my opinion things. And I know this movie made $351 million and is now a franchise, quote unquote, 3 films. But
we're clearly on the wrong side of this thing.
To me, it wasn't even fun. And if it was fun on top of all these other things, I think I would have had I could put everything aside. But I did not find this fun. Hey there, listener. Want to influence the podcast? Head on over to patreon.com/cinematic doctrine and support the show for $3 a month. In doing so, you'll be able to vote on a movie poll that picks a film we discuss each month. So jump on over there and have your voice heard. So I don't actually have anything more to say, frankly, about the movie, but specifically about this. But what did you think of the ending, and what do you think of Now You See Me?
I think it was really. I thought the ending was just. It was shoehorned. It didn't make any sense. I feel like they kind of were like, oh shoot, we forgot to figure out who the mastermind was. Well, let's just make it Mark Ruffalo. Let's just make it his character, and he can be the son of the dead guy, which you can still do. Like, that revenge story can totally work. Make it somebody else. Make it a character we don't know yet or have not met yet. Like, or we've seen in the background. Like, I was thinking, oh, it's probably Morgan Freeman's assistant or camera woman or cameraman or something. Like, make it that and not Mark Ruffalo. But if you have to have it someone who's close to the investigation, still don't make it Mark Ruffalo. Maybe make it the French woman. Just don't make it Mark Ruffalo, because that doesn't make any sense, and it was not convincing at all. Sure, I was shocked and surprised. I did not see it coming. I would have never guessed it, so I guess I can give a point to the movie if I want to be generous. But
we would be shocked and surprised if someone flashed us when we're out in public. Like, that doesn't make it good, right?
Exactly. Oh, not a comfy surprise. I don't like this type of surprise. No, thank you. I can see the potential in this movie. This movie just didn't. It had like too many plot ideas, and instead of picking one major one, and then maybe having like lowercase ideas for the other ones, so like little side plots. It just was like, oh no, we're just going to make all 3 of these the major plot of the entire movie. And that just made it too bloated. Like, you can still do a cop drama with this, because someone's got to figure out where all the money is being taken from and being stolen. But that can be a side thing. Like, that can just be the annoying dog chasing after the car. And then you obviously have the magicians who are stealing money for a revenge plot that is also tied into, we must test these people to see if they could be part of the society. Maybe the guy just hijacking it to be like, yeah, it'll still be a test, but I actually have to get revenge, so I might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Like, there's something there, and I can kind of see it, but just barely, because they did not do it well enough. The characters also, that none of the actors, in my opinion, had very good chemistry at all.
Nobody did. No.
They all fell very flat. I didn't really, like, Morgan Freeman is great, and he was, like, really the only character that actually gave me, like, some actual downtime in the entire movie, because he talks slow. And I was like, oh, whew, okay, I can take a breath as he's doing his little explanation. Like, at least he's talking slow. As much as I love Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine are really great, I thought their characters were stupid. It felt really weird that they were there. It felt really weird that they're wonderful men, very old men surrounded by all these very young characters. Like, it just This movie felt very cobbled together everywhere. The script, the production, the cinematography, the actors. It was like they opened the door and were like, we're shooting a movie. Who wants to come in? And then like they just kind of let anybody in. It just... I do not recommend this movie at all. And I do not know how it got sequels. I mean, obviously the money
they made. That's it.
Like, yes, but like
That's the only thing.
How it got a third, how it's getting a third sequel.
Makes money.
How much money did the second one make? I don't. This movie baffles me. Absolutely baffles me.
Want some quick updates on the podcast? Follow the Cinematic Doctrine Instagram for cool posts and story updates. Press the link in the show notes or search Cinematic Doctrine, that's one word, in your Instagram app. Oh, and we're on Threads. Check us out there too. Let's do recommendations. What do you got?
I will be recommending a book. We are away from spooky season, but that's okay. I'm going to recommend, it's a short story-ish, What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. And I'm just going to read the synopsis from Goodreads. When Alex Easton, a retired soldier, receives word that their childhood friend Madeline Usher is dying, they race to the ancestral home of the Ushers in the remote countryside of Rarvia, which I think is a made-up name in like France that I can't pronounce. What they find there is a nightmare of fungal growth and possessed wildlife surrounding a dark, pulsing lake. Madeline sleepwalks and speaks in strange voices at night, and her brother Roderick is consumed with a mysterious malady of the nerves. Aided by a redoubtable British mycologist and a baffled American doctor, Alex must unravel the secret of the House of Usher before it consumes them all. So if you're interested in like The Last of Us and this idea of mushrooms taking over the body and making zombie ants and zombie people, this definitely hits all the right notes with this story. A little spooky, a little mysterious and adventurous. It's the first in a current trilogy. The third book just came out. The second book is equally as good. What Moves at Night, or What Moves the Deep, I think is the second one. It's very good. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, and then I'm going to recommend probably the antithesis to Rick and Morty in terms of modern adult animation. I'm going to recommend Smiling Friends, also on Adult Swim. Very funny. It's in its third season right now. I mean, this show is super funny. And if you grew up as an internet kid, there's going to be so much more humor you'll get from the film or from the show. But I do think without the internet kind of stuff, like you're still going to have a really good time. It is hard to compare the show to kind of other adult animation, not just because I don't watch a whole lot, but because also a lot of it turns me off because it's pretty cynical. But similar to this film, where we had this or the opposite of this film, where we criticized it for having a smug attitude, Smiling Friends really is not smug. It's actually really like simple and cute. And the premise is two characters, Charlie and Pim, who have also two other coworkers, but they work for a company called Smiling Friends, where people call in and say, I need to smile or something. And so then the two of them go over and help them. And of course, they get into like borderline regular show levels of hijinks. But because of that, it kind of makes the show like silly and fun and like, yeah, it's great. It's so funny. It's got great animation, and each episode's like 10 to 11 minutes, and you can just watch them all pretty much right away. It's so good. So check it out, Smiling Friends. Tons of fun. Thanks for checking out this episode of Cinematic Doctrine. If you enjoyed the episode, give us 5 stars on whatever podcast app you're using. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe, too. We put out stuff like all the time. If you're listening on YouTube, hit that thumbs up and leave a comment. It helps the algorithm share our stuff around, and I see them, so I usually reply. Also, if you support on Patreon, you could have totally heard this episode early. There's a bunch of other benefits to supporting on Patreon, so head on over to patreon.com/cinematic doctrine to learn more. Speaking of Patreon, thank you so much to our Art House Theater tier Patreon supporters. Thanks, Thomas, Shirleon, Mom, and Dad. Your support is greatly appreciated. Until next time, stay cool.